Gift pressed her back against the cracked adobe wall as the first red light of dawn painted the dusty path. At 22, her eyes carried silent sorrow. 5 years had passed since her mother's gentle voice faded, and only hard labor and unkind words remained. Across the courtyard, Mr. Fred straightened his worn hat. "Gift, sweep, fetch water." His voice snapped like a broken whip. Behind him, Mrs. Williams folded her arms, lips curling into a cold smile. "And cook, child. We leave nothing undone." Gift's small shoulders ached, but she bowed her head and obeyed. She moved almost without sound, a ghost among the shouting farmers and bright-eyed children who watched her with pity and fear. They spoke of her misfortune only in hushed tones. Late one afternoon, Julius trudged into the courtyard. His shirt hung loose, his shoes sprawled with holes, but he carried himself with a quiet strength. He wiped sweat from his brow. "Sir, I've hauled cassava for 3 months," he said, voice steady. "I need my pay today." Mr. Fred scratched at his stubbled jaw. "Pay? Ha, come back tomorrow," he laughed, eyes flicking to Gift. "Or take the girl, she's worth something." Julius frowned. "Take her." He glanced at Gift, broom in hand, slender and silent. He approached, heart pounding. "Would you want to leave?" he asked softly. Gift's broom clattered to the ground. She stared at Julius, breath caught. "Leave? Yes. Please," she whispered, voice trembling. Mrs. Williams clapped once and turned away. That evening, Gift's few belongings fit into a torn sack. Her little brother, Sam, peered from behind a mango tree, tears glinting on his cheeks. She reached out, but the gate swung shut before he could run closer. Julius lifted the sack. "Come," he said, gentle. Gift nodded, head bowed. On the bus, city lights shimmered like distant stars. Gift pressed her forehead to the dusty window. "I pray, no more cruelty," she murmured. Julius sat beside her, silent but kind. Soon, concrete towers rose before them, and Gift felt both hope and fear. Julius offered a small smile. "We'll find peace," he promised. Gift lifted her eyes. "Thank you," she breathed. The city rose like a sleeping giant as Gift stepped from the tricycle. Tall towers stretched into the sky, and neon signs buzzed above crowded streets. Her heart fluttered, fear tangled with excitement, as Julius led her along a narrow path edged with bright flowers. Inside a small, cream-painted house, Gift paused to catch her breath. "This is my home," Julius said, stepping aside. "The owner let me stay here for free if I guard the compound." Gift's eyes widened. The one-room house was neat, a tidy bed, a lock on the door, even a little cooking corner. She traced her fingers over the smooth table. "It feels safe," she whispered. Julius smiled softly. "You deserve peace." That night, Gift lay on crisp sheets, listening only to her own breathing. No shouts, no cruel words, just silent comfort. 2 mornings later, Gift awoke to a gentle clatter. She slipped into the kitchen and found Julius flipping eggs in a pan. Sunshine spilled through the window, warming the room. "Good morning," she said, voice hushed. "Morning, Gift," he replied. "I hope you're rested." "I've never slept so well," she admitted, taking a seat. After breakfast, Julius handed her a simple dress. "I want you to meet someone," he said, eyes bright. Gift smoothed the fabric over her shoulders. "Who?" "You'll see." They walked together down a lantern-lit path to a grand black gate. Julius knocked, and it creaked open to reveal a white villa. Flowers bloomed along the walk, and a marble fountain tinkled softly. An elegant woman stepped forward. Her silver-streaked hair framed kind eyes and a gentle smile. "Good morning, Julius," she said. Then she turned to Gift. "And who is this beautiful young lady?" Julius bowed his head respectfully. "Mother, this is Gift, my wife." Mrs. Williams extended her hand. Gift felt warmth flood through her. "Welcome, my dear Mrs. Williams said. "You're part of our family now." Gift's heart soared. For the first time, she believed her prayers were answered. Mrs. Williams led Gift into a gleaming living room. Plush sofas faced a low marble table, and laughter seemed to echo against polished walls. She took Gift's hand and guided her to a soft chair. "You're very lovely, my dear, Mrs. Williams said, voice warm. "I'm happy Julius brought you here." Gift's heart fluttered. "Thank you, Ma," she whispered. "I'm grateful. Call me Mrs. Williams," she smiled. "If you ever need anything, just ask." Gift nodded, eyes bright. After a few moments, they returned to the boys' quarters under a rosy sunset. That evening, Gift wiped the tiny kitchen clean and arranged her few dishes just so. She sat on the edge of her bed, lost in thought. Julius knelt beside the wardrobe, gently tightening a loose handle. "Julius," Gift said softly. He looked up, dusting his hands. "Yes." Gift fiddled with the hem of her dress. "When my father gave me to you, I felt worthless," she began, voice trembling. "I thought you'd treat me like he did, shouting, beating, making me a slave." Julius stood and crossed the room to her. He took her hands in his. "I would never hurt you," he promised. "That's not who I am." She blinked back tears. "You gave me peace. You gave me respect. You even cooked for me." He smiled, gentle. "That's because you matter to me." Gift's breath caught. He paused, then added, "I liked you the moment I saw you. I wanted to ask your father to let me marry you, but I was afraid he'd turn me away." Gift's cheeks warmed. I don't love you yet," she admitted, voice small. "I know," he said quickly. "I'm not rushing you." She looked up, hope softening her eyes. "But I feel safe with you. Like I'm worth something." "Because you are," he replied. "You're a queen in the right palace." Gift laughed, a clear, bright sound. In that moment, something tender began to bloom between them. A month later, the sun shone golden overhead as Gift carried bags of fresh produce beside Mrs. Williams. They paused on the tiled porch. "Gift," Mrs. Williams called, patting the bench beside her. Gift set down the bags and sat, curious. "I hear Julius told me you make the best mango pudding," she said with a knowing smile. "He's so proud of what you're learning." Gift's face lit up. "He encouraged me to write down every recipe. I want to surprise him tonight." Mrs. Williams squeezed her hand. "I know he'll love it." Gift stood, resolve shining in her eyes. "Thank you for giving me this chance," she said. I feel like I belong." Mrs. Williams rose and embraced her. "You belong here, Gift, now and always." Julius turned slowly, his back against the wall, and looked into Gift's worried eyes. The soft moonlight danced across his face. "I've wanted to," he said gently, "but I promised myself I wouldn't rush you. You've carried so much pain, Gift. I wanted you to feel safe first." He reached out, brushing a stray curl from her forehead. "I brought you here to love and protect you." Gift's breath caught. Relief and hope filled her chest. She nodded, tears glistening. Julius cupped her cheek and kissed her softly. It was a gentle promise, not a demand, and Gift felt her heart open a little more. Over the next weeks, life bloomed for Gift. Each morning she practiced new recipes in Mrs. Williams's bright kitchen. By afternoon, she sat in a small classroom, her notebook filled with neat writing as she studied math and English. Julius sometimes peeked through the window, pride warming his smile. One evening, they walked hand in hand through a lantern-lit garden behind the villa. Gift paused by a jasmine vine. "Thank you," she whispered. "For everything." Julius squeezed her hand. "Thank you for trusting me," he replied, "and for showing me what real strength looks like." Gift smiled up at him, her spirit lighter than it had ever been. In this new world of kindness and opportunity, she felt ready to dream again. Julius patted the bench beside him. "Welcome home, my queen," he said, voice warm. Gift sank beside him, eyes downcast. "Julius, something happened today." He leaned forward. "What is it? Are you all right?" Gift took a shaky breath. "Daniel, Mrs. Williams's son, came into the kitchen. He said very inappropriate things." Julius's face hardened. "Tell me exactly." Gift's hands trembled in her lap. He said I was so damn hot, and made jokes about God taking his time creating me. I felt ashamed. Julius stood and wrapped her in a gentle embrace. I'm so sorry, he murmured into her hair. No one has the right to make you feel that way. Gift closed her eyes, relief and anger mingling. I didn't know what to say. I just wanted to finish my work and leave. Julius pressed a kiss to her temple. You did right. You stayed calm. But I'll speak with Mrs. Williams. You should never endure that. That evening, Julius found Mrs. Williams in the study. The lamplight made her silver hair glow as she read. Mother, he began softly. She looked up, concerned. Julius, what is it? He explained what Daniel had said. Mrs. Williams's eyes filled with regret. Oh, my child, she said, standing. I'm so sorry Gift had to hear that. Julius nodded. I want to protect her dignity. Mrs. Williams closed her book. I'll talk to Daniel. The next morning in the garden, Daniel found Gift gathering herbs. His usual cocky smile was gone. Gift, he said quietly. About yesterday, I'm sorry. I was rude. Gift looked up, cautious. Thank you for apologizing, Daniel. He bowed his head. I respect you. I was wrong. Gift gave a small nod and returned to her herbs. Daniel watched for a moment, then walked away. That night, Julius and Gift sat on the bench under the stars. Gift's hand found his. Thank you, she whispered. For what? He asked, brushing her hair back. For standing up for me. For loving me right. Julius smiled. Always, Gift, always. Gift leaned her head on his shoulder. In the quiet night, she felt safe and loved. Her past pain softening like morning mist under the rising sun. Julius waited outside the kitchen, tension knotting his shoulders. When Gift stormed in, head held high, he rose to meet her. Are you all right? He asked softly. Gift exhaled, fury and relief mingling in her eyes. Daniel tried to bribe me, she said, voice steady. He wants me to leave you. He called our marriage fake, said I should be with him. He promised money, school abroad, everything. Julius's jaw tightened. You handled that perfectly. Gift sank onto a stool. I told him no. I told him I'm proud to be your wife, that I trust our future together. That afternoon, Mrs. Williams found Daniel in the drawing room. Her gaze was calm but firm. Daniel, she began, I've heard what happened. His face went pale. She refused your offer, Mrs. Williams continued. And rightly so. Marriage is not a contract of money or power. It's built on love and respect. Daniel bowed his head. Mother, I expect you to apologize to Gift, Mrs. Williams said, and never speak to her that way again. Daniel nodded without a word and left the room. Later, in the lantern-lit courtyard, Gift and Julius sat on a low bench. She apologized, Gift said, reaching for his hand. Julius pulled her close. I'm proud of you. You stood up for us. Gift rested her head on his shoulder. With you by my side, I feel brave. That night, Gift returned to her study corner. Her desk lamp glowed over open textbooks. Julius peeked in, holding 2 mugs of tea. I thought you might want a break, he said, handing her a cup. Gift smiled. Thank you, she sipped. Every day, I feel closer to my dreams. He kissed her temple. And I'll be here, every step. A sharp silence fell between them as Gift stood her ground. The late afternoon sun filtered through the lace curtains, casting delicate patterns on the polished floor. Ma, I respect you and this home, Gift said, voice steady. But I won't leave Julius. He treats me with love and honor. I will not be a prize to win or a pawn in anyone's game. Her heart pounded as she stood in Mrs. Williams's elegant drawing room. Sunlight danced on the polished floor, but Gift felt only fire in her chest. Ma, she said, voice firm, I didn't marry Julius for money. I married him because when everyone else turned their backs, he stood by me. He gave me dignity after my father treated me like a bag of yams. Tears pricked her eyes, but she didn't stop. I'd rather quit this job than betray him. If your son doesn't stop, We'll leave this house. Mrs. Williams opened her mouth, but Gift raised her hand gently. I'm sorry, Ma, but I'm done here. Without another word, she swept from the room, cheeks wet with tears. Walking back to the quarters, Gift's hands balled into fists. How could someone she respected see her as a prize? How could they treat love like a sale? She wiped her face and straightened her shoulders. More than anything, she knew this: she loved Julius. Opening the door to their small cottage, she froze. On the table lay stacks of crisp dollar bills, more than she had ever seen. Julius, what is this? She whispered. He rose from the bed, calm and gentle. All these years, I've saved every dollar I could. I planned to start my own business, my dream since I came to the city. Gift's throat tightened. And now, Julius stepped close. Seeing you defend our love, I realized you deserve more. I want you to use this money for your education. Go to university. Study your heart's desire. I'll be fine. Gift shook her head, tears falling again. No, Julius. You worked so hard for this. It's your dream. He took her hands. But your dream matters too. She looked from him to the money. Let's do this together, she said at last. Let's rent a small shop outside the compound. We'll start a business side by side. You run it, I'll cook and manage. When it grows, I'll go to school, one step at a time. Julius stared at her, wonder in his eyes. You really want that? Gift nodded, resolve shining. We deserve a future built on our own hands, our own love. He pulled her into his arms. Then let's begin our next chapter, together. A cool evening breeze followed Julius as he stepped inside. He looked at Gift, weary but smiling. Gift, he said softly, there's something I need to tell you. Gift folded her arms, wary. What now? He took her hands in his. I lied to you. Her heart skipped. Lied about what? Julius sat on the edge of the bed. Daniel isn't just Mrs. Williams's son. He's my younger brother. And Mrs. Williams isn't just my boss, she's my mother. Gift's breath caught. Your mother, he nodded, eyes honest. I was afraid. I needed to know you loved me for me, not for money or family ties. Gift sank beside him, stunned. Tears filled her eyes. You should have trusted me. He drew her close. I know, I'm sorry. A quiet settled between them. Finally, Gift lifted her face. I love you, Julius, no matter your name or your family. I married you because you saw my soul. Julius kissed her forehead. And I love you for yours. They held each other, relief and love weaving a new bond of trust. The next morning, they walked hand in hand to the rented shop they had chosen. Sunlight warmed the dusty street. Beside them, stacks of crates and a simple counter awaited. Ready? Julius asked. Gift smiled, excitement bright in her eyes. Let's begin. Inside, they swept the floor, arranged shelves, and hung a small sign, *J&G's Home Kitchen. As they finished, Julius winked. Our dream is real. Gift laughed. Step by step, together. They shared a hopeful glance, ready to build their future on love, trust, and hard work. Julius lowered his gaze, shame shadowing his features. I've been hurt before, he said quietly. Many women loved me only for my money. They left when I stopped spoiling them. Gift's heart ached. She sat beside him on their small sofa. You shouldn't have carried that alone, she whispered. He looked up, vulnerability in his eyes. Please forgive me for hiding the truth. Gift reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind his ear. Teasingly, she smiled through her tears. Okay, fine, I forgive you. But you owe me. Julius laughed lightly. What do I owe my queen? Gift grinned. A car and a mansion for lying to me. He threw his head back in laughter. Consider it done. Their kiss was warm and genuine, a promise sealed by trust. That night, they fell asleep in each other's arms, the past laid to rest. News of Julius's fortune, and his true identity, spread quickly. When Mr. Fred heard the rumors, he nearly choked on his drink. He called Gift immediately. My daughter, forgive me, he pleaded. I was blind. Please come home. Gift pressed her phone to her chest. Her voice was calm but resolute. I forgive you, Papa, but I'm free now. Please do not involve me or your new wife again. She hung up and whispered a prayer of thanks. Thank you, Jesus, for bringing Julius into my life. Asterisk. Gift adjusted her white coat and stepped onto the graduation stage. The auditorium buzzed with applause. In the front row, Julius leapt to his feet, cheering the loudest. That's my wife, he roared, pride shining in his eyes. One peaceful afternoon, Julius invited Gift on a surprise drive. They arrived at a vast white mansion behind golden gates. Gift's breath caught. Why are we here? Julius handed her a heavy keyring. Your mansion, my queen. Gift laughed and cried all at once. You promised me a car and a mansion, and here they are. Julius pulled her into a joyful hug. Then Gift stepped back, eyes sparkling with excitement. I have more news, she said. His heart raced. What is it? Gift placed a hand on her stomach. I'm 3 months pregnant. Julius froze, then lifted her into a spinning hug. We're having a baby. He knelt before her and kissed her belly. Your baby daddy already loves you. Gift's tears fell again, this time from pure joy. From rejection in a dusty village to a life of love and promise, she had found her place. What lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.